Welcome, people. It's your boy Q from Q'd Up Productions back at you again. Today's tutorial is going to be on 808s and how you can manipulate 808s in Reason. Got a nice little trick to show you today. First, there's something that I should have covered before when I was talking about the NNXT in past tutorials, but I wanted to cover it this time before I get into the whole 808 tutorial thing. So, first off, if you go into whatever sample that you drag into your NNXT, the first thing you want to do is if you have something you want it to cut itself off and have a legato field, and you have to go right here and actually switch this from retrigger to legato. You also want to go here. This is normally, I believe, at 7. You want to take this down to 1. As far as the portamento, that's how, if you want to do glides or something like that, then that's how you can achieve that glide. And depending on how much you have it, the amount that you have depends on the length of the glide. And you can just play with that and manipulate that to taste. But the big thing is, if you come here and you actually right click on the sample, once it's actually in the NNXT, you come down to set root note from pitch detection. And what it'll do is it'll automatically, if you see, I had it already set for this one, but it jumped down to tell me that G sharp 0 is where the actual root note is set for this particular 808. But we can change that. So all we have to do is come up here to somewhere around this range that we can actually hear it and play it. Like right now, you can't even hear it because it's so low. And I like to come up to about the C2, C3 range, somewhere around there. So if I'm at A sharp there, G sharp, then I would come down here and I can just put it right there. So now it's able to be played. And I think I have it soloed or something so you cannot hear it. So now you can hear it. Okay, so that's the first thing. And I'm going to let you listen to what I have so far. This is just a quick loop that I made. Now, there's a reason why that sounds like that. Okay, so the first thing is, if you have your 808s and you have a particular type of sound that you are looking for with your 808s, number one is when you go to mix them, you want them to be able to have some mid-range information as well as low-end information. But you don't want it to be too muddy where the low-end range basically seeps or saturates your mid-range also, because that can kind of interfere with instruments and things like that. So something that I like to do is I'll come up and I'll actually separate it. I'll make a copy of it. I'll keep one that's in mono and then another one that's in stereo. And the reason why I do that is because I'm able to get the higher or the mid range and actually spread it out a little bit and get a little bit more feel of what the 808 is doing, number one. And then number two, if you're playing it on house speakers, speakers on your laptop and things like that, you'll actually still hear where the 808 is present. So that's another one of those things where when you mix, you're mixing to make sure that everything across the board can hear the 808. So that's the reason why I do it that way. So if I were to play it without the upper range that I separated, then it would sound like this. Okay, so when you listen to that, then you'll hear the 808 still sounds the same as it normally would. The only thing is it's actually put in key. So then I can go and I know when I'm hitting C or whatever it is my root note is for my composition, whatever I'm writing, then that's going to make sure that it's automatically in key. So you can do the same thing with all your other drums that you have. I usually do it with the kick, the snare, sometimes the hi-hats. If the hi-hats have a little bit of grittiness to it, then I'll go ahead and do it to those also. Okay, so now that we know what that sounds like regular, then if I go in, which is what I've done here, and what you do is you go to the cutoffs and use these filters that are in Reason. This is one reason that this is one reason that I like Reason. All right, so you have these filters that are already here. So what you do is you take one and make it your low and take the other one and make it your high. And that's if you want to do this particular mixing trick that I like to use. So you would go here. I go to my cutoff for a low pass filter, and I have that set at 158. If you look right there in that section there, it'll show you what my cutoff frequency is. So if I'm low passing up to that point, then I come over here and I actually high pass at about the same point, so that I know now they're exactly separated in the same area. So everything from 158 hertz and up, that's what I have to play with as far as the higher end part of the 808. And of course, if it's too light, too loud, or too bright, then I can kind of tone it down a little bit right here and take a little bit of those higher frequencies off, so that it doesn't clash with some of the other stuff. So if you add this into it, normally what I like to do is before I play it, I'll turn it all the way down. What I like about Reason also is you can come in here and change the width of whatever it is that you want to add, the width of your top end sound that you want to add. So you take that and we'll play it, and then we'll just see where that sweet spot is. See, so it just makes the 808 a little bit more controlled. You can tame that higher end, still keep your low end, and manipulate it however you want to manipulate it. You can separate it into 3 parts if you want, and do something else to the mid-range. That's my time. Be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the notifications button so you always stay up to date on all my latest content. And most of all, stay queued up. Peace.